hold on. So I'm looking into this Super Mega stuff because there's an update, and it's so bad that Nick is not green. I guess he got called out so hard that he had to go private on Twitter. Good, man. This whole Super Mega thing was wild. I felt bad for the guys. I'll put the link of my video in the description that I originally covered it. But that situation was gross. This Nick guy weaponized what was going on there and sensationalized it and effectively lied about it. Same thing with that Pethan guy who's now dating the girl who came out with her stuff, and it was a mess, man. These guys on Super Mega haven't even posted pretty much since then. They decided to, they made the future of Super Mega post here, because they stepped away because they got so bullied. I'm gonna put the link of like my whole breakdown in the description, and then I could also put I'll put a link below that under sources again. All that's under there of specifically just the breakdown of Nick is Not Green's breakdown, which was terrible. It was garbage. And so, yeah, I'm curious. I guess he responded on Twitter, and he got dumpstered. People have been able to... They got screen caps of that. But let's start by reading through the Ryan McGee thing. So just to be really clear about this situation, this is the short end of what happened. Okay, I forget the girl's name. But basically, they were all friends in some capacity. The Super Mega guys let her live in their studio for a while she was supposed to find an apartment. There was an interaction where she had some kind of dating relationship with another guy she met online. They were also friends with him. He showed up. He apparently tried to force her to give him oral or something. He stopped when she said no. I understand that could be upsetting. But then when she eventually approached them with this information, they didn't really know how to parse through it, but they eventually fired him. Which was, they did the right thing, I guess. I mean, it was never proven that it happened. And then a lot of the drama centralizes around her refusing to like leave because she was told she was told that like, she should find somewhere else to live, and she refused to do that. She would constantly go on vacations. Yeah, her name was Lex. She was just kind of an entitled brat. I feel bad for her if she was put in a situation where he tried to force himself onto her, even though he was apparently unsuccessful. That could still be really upsetting. That being said, the majority of the narrative outside of that was so bad that it's hard to take what she says seriously. But it seems to me that this was a weaponization attempt of like sexual assault allegations from Nick is Not Green and his friend Pethan, which is now dating that Lex girl. Try to virtue signal on the internet in a social media atmosphere that is hyper obsessed with sexual assault, which is the truth. It is, in a way where it's an unproductive conversation and people end up getting woke fatigue and tuning out. So yeah, she complained about the state of the office being dirty, but she was living there rent free. It was kind of her responsibility to keep it clean. So I mean, I don't know, zero appreciation for her own friends. Anyway, Ryan, decided to make a post a couple days ago, so we're gonna look at it. For my comprehensive breakdown, you can check the sources, but here we go. Something I wanted to address. I really don't want to be writing this, but I feel like I need to address something that's been eating away at my mental state. A few months ago, some individuals came forward with their issues with me, Matt, and our channel, SuperMega. While I've acknowledged these criticisms in a response video and still believe that some of their points are valid, there was one topic brought to the table that has been weighing on my mind. Before I begin, I want to say that I am in no way trying to take away from Lex's coming forward to speak about her essay, which was, again, it was an essay attempt. That's the way that she displayed it. But anyway, by our former channel artist, Don. Diminishing credibility for that is not the goal of the statement, and I ask others not to use it as a tool to do so. Back in July, it was claimed by multiple people. Oh yeah, and some people said that like, oh, they should have called the cops. No, they shouldn't have. That's her decision to make. When somebody is, experiences something like that, it's their decision on how they want to operate. You can try to convince them that that's the right thing to do, but again, inevitably, that's their struggle. So if you have somebody that was assaulted and they don't want to go to the police because they feel like that would contribute to their trauma, you should urge them to do so because it would be better in the long run. But ultimately, you shouldn't be stepping over them to do something like that. That's her responsibility. That's not even just her responsibility. That's her right to make that decision. That's very important. Anyway, back in July, it was claimed by multiple people that Matt and I didn't care about suicide and would apparently make cold-hearted jokes about our friend, late dear friend Daniel. This, I remember that. They would make some jokes about their friend who had taken their own life. Listen, if you're not a dumb, babbling baby, you understand what's happening here, and that is that this is a really tough situation to deal with, and that person that took their life was obviously struggling with something very deep, but they were friends, and that is something that hurt them as well. That person who took their own life hurt them, and that's a real thing, and it's one of those things that's a tragedy. If you ever need to reach out to somebody because you're struggling with that, you should, but they have every right to be upset, and they would make jokes as like a way to cope. Okay, that's it. It's none of my business. I'm not like, I don't know the guy. If I did know the guy, I probably would understand that he probably liked those types of jokes. So anyway, I want to clarify that these accusations are false. In my response video back in July, I defended myself against these claims, but unfortunately, those who spread them have still not taken responsibility for dragging Daniel into the conversation. Yeah, of course. Those people are, again, they're virtue signaling. Like, Nick is not green is virtue signaling. He's trying to weaponize the unfortunate passing of this person to try to attack them because he's a baby. Like, Nick is not green is a baby who doesn't have any life experience and doesn't understand how to parse through information honestly and reasonably. Like, that's the reality of the situation. This guy apparently has never struggled in his life and has never understood the loss of somebody very close to them by taking their own life, and never understood how you can use comedy to cope with it. And that's their shit. That's it. That's all it boils down to. To those who are unaware, Daniel was my best friend back from when I lived in South Carolina. We were in some of the same classes in high school, as well as both being part of our school's broadcast journalism program. He was known to have an extra edge and awareness with his sense of humor, which showed in many of the creative projects he would make. It was humor where we found we clicked. After high school, we created the sketch comedy channel Syndigo, eventually leading to an opportunity for us to move to California and do YouTube full-time. We moved to Los Angeles in February 2015 and spent the next few months settling into our surroundings. Sadly, on September 16th, 2015, I found Daniel in his room unresponsive due to an apparent attempt. He would not survive this attempt, passing away surrounded by loved ones on September 18th, 2022. That's sad. That's sad. Interesting that I guess he was in a coma of some sorts, because it says that they found him in 2015 and then he passed in 2022. So that's sad. Yeah, sad, man. The claims regarding Max and I disrespecting Daniel's memory were propagated by Lex at Nice Updog in her now unlisted YouTube video that was posted at July 27, 2023, where she claims Matt and Daniel a coward multiple times. Claims Matt called Daniel a coward multiple times. Not for nothing, but if that's true, okay. What if that's true? I doubt that it was being said publicly. It was being said privately. If that's how he was expressing himself privately, why would you leak that? Matt has every right to feel that way. One of your best friends did something like that. Of course you would be upset. Is it appropriate? No. But this is dealing with like a horrific situation. It weighs on you mentally, especially because they found him. You know, if they said, this guy said he found him. I don't know if Matt found him as well, but either way, that's traumatizing. We forgot that part, though. Apparently, you're only allowed to be traumatized if you're the one making, I don't know, in my opinion, exaggerated allegations, especially considering the way she conducted herself after the fact. But, like, what about that trauma of, like, finding your friend in that state, you know, of somebody that, like, you loved? Taking their own life, not understanding, coping with the loss, the grief, the lack of understanding. I don't know if I could ever empathize with somebody who would do that. It's hard. That's a tough thing. It's hard. So if he did call him a coward, okay. I don't care. What do you think I'm going to morally judge this guy for calling him a coward? Why? I don't think it's right, but it's understandable. So why would I do that? Why would I morally weigh in for something like that? I've never lost somebody to taking their own life. I couldn't possibly begin to understand that cope. I've lost somebody before. I've lost people before. It's sad. It makes me cry. Like, I don't know what to tell you. And so mix that sadness in with that anger from them taking themselves their life too soon, or just doing in general. Like, why? Like, yeah, this is like that is a response that I would consider like, not appropriate, but understandable. You know, people have to grow up. People need to grow up and understand, like, we're human beings with a lot of complicated emotions. And, like, you know, you're supposed to understand that being somebody on the left-leaning side of whatever. Me too. But it's like, how do you have no empathy for this? And it's because they don't even think about it. They don't care. You think that like these people think Lex Updog, you think that Lex or Nick or Pethan, you think that they think about like human beings? No, never. They don't think about human beings. They don't think about human emotions. They're told what to think. They exist in a vacuum, and they get an affirmation from their dumb fucking audience and whatever fucking other moron content creators they watch, and they don't think critically about anything. Because they don't care. They don't parse through information intelligently. They don't care about what's right. They don't care about what's wrong. They care about being opportunists that can jump and latch on to something. They're bad people. Like, they're just bad people. They don't care about anybody or anything at all. It's something to keep in mind. So, okay, sorry. Well, God, it's a little heated. And that Matt and I don't give a shit about it. That was a quote. That's what their claim was. She was the first person to mention Daniel Leighton Stollard. Okay, at yeah, sure, I guess, is now a deleted Twitch live stream that aired on the 28th of 2023, where he stated he would make the actual act of Daniel's suicide the punchline of a disgusting joke. NickIsNotGreen, in a video that was uploaded on his YouTube channel on the 29th of 2023, where he used a random post from a fan on the SuperMega subreddit as a segue to talk about Daniel while also highlighting the claims Leighton and Lex made. And lastly, Pethan is online, is now a deleted YouTube live stream that aired on July 30, 2023, in which Lex also appears, where he confidently states that we also call Daniel a coward as he's reading a SuperMega apology bingo card. Yeah, because nothing shows that you respect this person who tragically took their own life by making a bingo card out of it. Wow. Incredible stuff. On the SuperMega subreddit. This is the same stream where Ethan displayed a subscriber counter for our channel, celebrating the loss of our audience while encouraging those watching to unsubscribe from SuperMega. After Matt and I released our responses on, isn't that against YouTube's terms of service, like actively trying to deplatform somebody? Because that's what is that? What is that? Oh, you're celebrating the reduction of their. That feels like you're celebrating it. I don't know. That means at the least on the line. We should be at least like disgusted by the behavior. Like, this is so gross. If you believe that they acted inappropriately, why would you deal with this situation like it's such a silly little funny catastrophe to you? I don't know. That doesn't seem. I mean, if I was truly morally outraged that something bad had happened to like a friend of mine, I don't think I would have the mental capacity or energy to sit here and celebrate the downfall of somebody else. Like, my anger wouldn't manifest that way. I feel like most of us wouldn't either. Like, if you really believe that your girlfriend was like, they're not even assaulted by them. If you feel like they downplayed your shit, like, why would that be your response? I just feel like I would be so angry if something happened to, somebody I loved and somebody downplayed whatever happened to them. That's your accusation or something. I wouldn't be celebrating their subscriber loss. I would be violently angry. I wouldn't even be able to talk about them too much. I don't know. I don't think that they care. I think that they're babies. They're all a bunch of children. They're fucking they're just dumb kids. After Matt and I released our responses on July 31st, 2023, Lex went on to the SuperMega Patreon Discord server to correspond with our fans in the general chat about the situation. Within these messages, she mentions Leighton went a bit too hard on his July 28th live stream. She partly excused his behavior by pointing out that Leighton's BPD diagnosis and stating that he was manic due to us firing him back in March. Okay, well. Like I always talk about, mental health can be an excuse for some bad behavior. Sometimes it can be a context that exists. And yeah, maybe if you have BPD, he might have been disproportionate. But this is the thing. When it comes to a mental health problem, if you engage in an inappropriate way, let's say you have BPD, and sometimes, I believe, and I could be wrong, it can make you act like erratically sometimes, and you can be very black and white about stuff. I think that I'm right about that. So it's my understanding. If you have an episode where you freak out, once you calm down, like if I had a friend that had BPD and I knew that they had episodes, if they had an episode where they freaked out, after they've calmed down, that's when I would give them the responsibility to hold themselves accountable in a proportionate way where it's like, what the fuck? And they would be like, I'm really sorry, I had a manic episode, right? So I could give you grace there, but did this Leighton guy apologize after his episode? Because you don't get to just take that and exist with it forever, right? We understand people have different struggles, and we go, okay, you have BPD, you had a manic episode, right? It's different from if I had an episode because I don't have an excuse for it. So you had your episode, and I'll give you that leniency, I'll give you that. But now you need to afterwards, when you've calmed down and you're thinking more clearly, you need to hold yourself accountable and say, I'm really sorry I did this thing. How can I make it up to you? Right? We don't just completely excuse everybody's bad behavior. You just give them a little bit more leniency when they engage in behavior that they may not be able to control fully. So did this guy apologize afterwards, or did he just continue to like double down and be a fucking asshole? Because that's important. That's very important. Sorry. A few weeks after posting in our Discord, Lex unlisted her original video, my experience with Don DRRR and SuperMega. Adding an edit to the description. Within this edit, she stated that an individual, Leighton, used her trust in them as a platform to say a lot of really not okay things. Okay, this woman has no ability to take her own accountability. She's a fucking loser. This is what I'm talking about. That's why she stayed in the house too long, because she's a fucking asshole. Like she doesn't appreciate her friends and doesn't care about anything that people do for her. She's a bad person. Like I don't know what to tell you. Bad thing might have happened to her, but that doesn't mean that you're not a bad person. This shit like that happens all the time. There was once a guy who didn't get into art school, and he did a really bad thing, right? I feel bad that he didn't get to art school, but I can't accept the really bad behavior he engaged in. Okay, we know that just because bad things have happened to you doesn't excuse the fact that you're a bad person. Okay, let's see. Failing to take accountability for how she said some of the exact same things and was the first one to do so. They don't care about, taking their own life. That's what the word says. They don't give a shit about it. Those are her exact words after repeating Daniel's name on camera twice. Right. So she's just trying to be emotionally provocative. She doesn't care about this guy, Daniel, at all. Like, I don't know him, so I can't say that I care about him, but she doesn't care about him. She's weaponizing his tragic loss to virtue signal on the internet. Right. Those are her exact words after repeating Daniel's name in the camera twice. Her only proof that I didn't care, being that I was quite quiet or uncomfortable about discussing the topics pertaining to that topic. She never apologizes for unnecessarily bringing Daniel into the conversation. The only thing I could find was in the edited description where she says, my intention was to get my message about Don immediately, completely plus believed, and talk about what happened after that unfortunately led to me see him again, which is what led to a lot of interpersonal chaos that I learned wasn't necessary explaining in detail or even at all to be believed. Whatever she may have meant by this, it doesn't do anything to clear the water she muddied in retaliation to Daniel, especially since it's an edit to a description of an unlisted video. Yeah, bro, she made this video as a hit piece. It was like, what was it, 3 hours long? They filmed, I believe, from what I remember, I think it was like 3 hours long. But I think that it was like actually 5 hours long, and they cut it down so heavily. Because I remember one point in there, she mentioned, she was like, we've been talking for 5 hours, and it was like 3 hours. And I'm like, But this was a hit piece. The first half an hour was the only thing that would be necessary if that's what you wanted to talk about. If you wanted to talk about your experience with your alleged attempted sexual assault against you, then you would have made it at that. But that was the first half an hour, and it was a lot of rambling. It wasn't even needed to be a half an hour. It could have been 5 minutes. And then you went on to talk about other shit. You talked about how they were so bad because they let you stay in their house for free or their office for free. And then they would lightly ask you, when are you going to leave? And you would just constantly go on vacation. Be like, it's not a vacation, it's a work trip. You did Patreon or OnlyFans porn is what she did. And that's fine to do that. Something and that's fine if you want to do that. That's not a work trip. If I go to Disney and make content, I'm not on a work trip. I'm doing work while on vacation. Okay? That's how these things work. That's what she was doing. She was going on a lot of vacations. She was being irresponsible. She was taking advantage of her friends. She was wasting money that she could be otherwise using for an apartment. She's a shitty person. She's a bad person. And maybe she changed, but no, because she played this fucking game. It really does speak to the entitlement of people when they look back at a past event and they feel that they're the exclusive victim to that event. The reality is that all of us have been in bad situations where we have interacted with people where both sides were shitty. You obviously aren't going to acknowledge how shitty you were unless you were like super introspective, and it can take a long time to understand that. But for you to filter everything through I'm the victim, it's pathetic. It really is. I can look back on multiple times in my life where I was wronged significantly and go, okay, what's my role in that problem? How could I have been better? Even if the way I could have been better Even if I wasn't nearly as bad as the other person, there's still always ways that you can interact better. And people have this thing where they just think that every time that they were wronged or slighted, that there was nothing that they possibly contributed to it. That is the case sometimes. Most of the time, when something bad happens, you're also to blame. And you should, in some capacity, and you should really think about what you did wrong to enact that, especially if you can't find a partner, because you're probably the reason why you can't find somebody. So be critical and introspective, like understand yourself and your impact on the world and others. So something to keep in mind. Oh shit, where did I go? Okay. Ethan has gone quiet on talking about the situation since our responses, while Leighton has gone quiet altogether. Sorry, I can't read sometimes. Nick was and still is the only one of them to publicly address things after the release of our videos. Yeah, Nick just doubled down from what I remember. Then he links a BetterHelp thing, or this isn't BetterHelp, it's a findahelpline.com. Okay, cool. I don't know what the hell I'm looking at. All right, so that was his response. Good for him, or that's what he decided. He wanted to come out with that. I understand that. So apparently this is NickIsNotGreen's response to this. People will do/say anything to defend people who cover up rape and continue to be friends with rapists. So, to be clear, Lex wasn't raped, right? That was not even the accusation. From what I remember, it was the accusation that somebody attempted to do this, which is still bad. But I think given the complicated nature of this situation, we should be accurate about the allegation. She said that the person tried to force her to give him oral, and then she said kept saying no, and then he stopped. Now that's wrong if that's what happened, but again, I can't trust her as a person because she's a shitty person based on all the lies that she's told and the way that she has misrepresented the situation. But either way, it's not an attempted sexual, it's not an actual sexual assault. It is an attempted assault, and it's something that I think should be contextually acknowledged based on the situation. Again, they also fired the guy. So, and frankly, I don't even know if that's appropriate because there was no proof that this had happened. They took her word for it, which is really nice that they did. But he didn't, there's no proof that it actually happened other than she said so. And they still took her word for it. Now, it took a little too long because it took a little while for them to eventually do it. Okay. That's how you parse through information. The way that you're supposed to interact with some kind of a claim of sexual assault or something within the realm of that is you take the person that's making the claim seriously, you listen to them, and you give them a comfortable atmosphere to express that, while you don't instantly say that it must be a fact and disavow the other person, because it's a complicated matter and you need to settle it, and you may not be able to, and that's unfortunate. So, yeah, but the fact that they did it means that, they went, in my opinion, above and beyond what they had to do. Just food for thought before you mindlessly and endlessly fight for somebody you don't know. Sometimes you wonder why, when he wants you to endlessly fight for him, man. Sometimes you wonder why people don't stand up for or stay quiet about sexual assault victims, and it's because it results in thousands of people calling them liars and harassing them off the internet for any reasons they can find. Happens every single time. Doesn't happen every single time. Let's be absolutely clear. In the online world, sexual assault claims are over-validated. It's just a reality. They are over-validated. Okay? Every time someone comes forward with an assault claim, instead of listening to them and giving them a comfortable atmosphere to say, hey, this happened to me, while not instantly assuming guilt on the other person, because again, we live in an innocent until proven guilty scenario, people over-affirm and will weaponize that to dogpile onto that other person. That's how these claims work. And it's super unfortunate because there's a lot of people who are assaulted. Assaults are underreported. They are underrepresented. There are issues within our system where police officers take too long to observe some data. There's so many different things in our criminal justice system. There's ways in which people are meant to be blamed for them being assaulted, focusing on saying, well, why didn't you do better, rather than trying to say, well, why didn't that person not do in the first place? And that exists, and that is an objectively exists, right? But at the same time, we have an overcorrection on the internet of instantly affirming every single claim to the point of somebody's career destruction. And it does incentivize people to be able to come forward on the internet without an actual valid claim because they know that they're going to get over-validated. And so every single time we see somebody come forward with a false allegation, like NickIsNotGreen is basically one of them, Every time we see, though, outside of this situation, somebody come forward with a false allegation, all it does, it takes one or two to make a bunch of people, especially men, go, all of it's bullshit. And you might think, well, why does that matter? It matters because men are the ones that need to be educated. Men are the ones generally sexually assaulting people. Not all men, but it's men that need to hold other men accountable. You need to make men realize the negative impacts they could potentially have, even in a situation where they're not trying to be sexual assault anybody, but they might put somebody in an uncomfortable scenario. And so you're forcing people to tune out. And that's what Nick is Not Green and Lex and all these other people are doing. That's all it boils down to. I mean, that's it. These people are actively contributing to more people getting rapes. And I know that sounds harsh, but that's the reality. When you get people to tune out of the conversation, again, especially men, you're causing more people to get harmed. Because the reality, whether you want to hear this or not, is that a lot of times when a person, typically a woman, is put in a scenario where they are violated, whether you want to call it a sexual assault or a boundary push or whatever, it's because a man usually is uneducated on consent and boundaries in a productive, constructive way. It needs to start in schools with comprehensive sexual health education which a big part of that is consent and understanding of consent. But simply put, adults aren't going to go back to fucking school and learn this. And so now we have to educate adults, mostly men, on the way that their presence can have an intimidating impact. And when you sensationalize or lie or come up with these ridiculous accusations or pin it onto the wrong people tune the fuck out. That's what happens. And so you're actively contributing to an atmosphere that is causing more people to get violated and assaulted. And that's just it. You're harmful to the narrative. You are weaponizing the narrative to garner sympathy points. And you don't care. You don't care about anybody getting sexually assaulted or allegedly assaulted or allegedly attempted to be assaulted. You care about the fact that you can use that to put a ticket counter or a counter on your screen that counts down. Oh, look, you're losing subscribers. Haha, this is funny to me. That's not taking it seriously. That's horrible. That's horrific. Like, you have no understanding or real true experience with these matters. Because they're devastating to people. And I don't think that you even understand that. I think that this is all a bunch of fucking bullshit. And it frustrates me. I haven't talked about topics like this in a while because it burns me out. And I try not to give too much of myself to these because it can make me get very worked up. But it's just like this lack of understanding, lack of caring. It's just gross. I find it disgusting. I find this person despicable. Frankly, probably one of the most disgusting content creators I've ever really seen. There's no genuinity in them. They don't know anything when it comes to social issues. They don't give a shit. So stop talking about stuff like this. Like, it's just fucking gross to me. Anyway, you guys should shut the fuck up and think about why none of their friends or peers stand up for them or back them in any of this shit. Yeah, that's because the online narrative is so toxic that it's hard to defend people with any type of allegation because it's not worth potentially ruining your own career. I mean, they had to step away for 2 months because of the bullshit that you guys are pulling. So shut the fuck up. It's embarrassing. Go get a job and stop being obsessive losers. That's literally him. If your favorite content creator wants to be uncanceled, they should make a video and stop whining about their own actions. Catch up to them. What a fucking pathetic loser. So yeah, this person categorized the lies that they said. They are not actually friends with Don. Their actual friends have expressed support. They have made videos owning up to their faults. Nick did not address what Ryan actually said. That's true. So his own fan base is apparently turning against him, which is probably why he, again, privated his account because he got fucking dumpstered. And somebody said, I'm sorry, but saying go get a job when your whole job is making YouTube videos about random drama every day is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. Plus, people can still have jobs and criticize you, Dick. Bro, I used to like his videos, but honestly, the quality isn't great anymore, and he does shit like this. Personally, I'm not watching him anymore. LOL. I haven't for a while now. Okay, cool. Yeah, he's just getting fucking dumpstered. Have you seen what's going on your Reddit? Why are people so mad? A certain Debate Bros fan base has their aims on me for weeks. He's talking about Destiny, by the way.
Joey Mongus super chatted $2. He's just like me, FR.
For real, bro. That's an old one I've just looked at. Sorry, I don't know why I didn't play that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's because Destiny weighed in a while back, and now he's just gonna be like, oh well, Destiny bad. That's the whole thing. they will move on to their next target in like a month. The same people who tried getting people banned for saying cracker. Yeah, right. So that's when Hassan got banned for it. That's when talk about it. Again, I was right. It's just the anti-Destiny virtue signal. Yeah, so I think that's pretty much it.
DZ super chatted $1.99.
Thank you so much, brother. What is this? Oh, is this something different? The Leon Lush thing that he had said? Problem with Leon Lush, but it's too much of a pussy to tag him. Also, Nick cares about the... Okay, he says gayest things. Go sob about it. Imagine thinking calling a friend gay as a joke is worse than lying about rape. Base. What did Lee? I'm just gonna look at it real quick. I skimmed through it and I just kind of moved on. I didn't really care. Oh yeah, so this person said like the F slur or something. Censored has apologized after using a homophobic slur while playing Modern Warfare 2, saying it's not his vocabulary and was a slip of the tongue. It's not acceptable to say an account. Okay, cool. Leon Lush said hot take, but almost every dude I know over the age of 30, myself included, says shit like this from time to time in their private life, and it usually has nothing to do with their actual negative feelings about gay people. In addition to an expletive, it's used often as an affectionate manner towards a friend or someone you trust. I thought you said the F slur.
I don't respect you, period. You suck dick at the game, bitch. Fuck off, pussy.
Jesus Christ, bro. Aren't you supposed to
unfollow me on social media too, you little fucking faggot.
All right, well, that's... I don't think I've ever called somebody that out of an endearment. I mean, I've called somebody gay before for fun. I usually call people that... Listen, when I'm driving, I'll call people that word. Because it's like, come on, bro. Only a gay dude would drive like that. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, yeah, so he said a bad word. It's often used in an affectionate manner. I don't really think affectionate. I think what he means is that people will just like... Guys are bigoted. Let's just be real. Guys will say the horrible shit to each other. And that's probably where he was coming from. It's still inappropriate, and you should phase it out of your private life. But I occasionally get into a heated video game, and I'll just yell, something inappropriate at the screen. And I'm not proud of myself, and I go, oops. But I don't do it publicly. I try not to, because it's wrong, right? Like, I try, except when I'm driving. And then I'm actively trying to, I'm just kidding. It is what it is, man. It's bad. You shouldn't do it. But, like, I'm not going to morally chastise somebody. I used to be part of my vocabulary. I'm 33 years old. We used to say shit like this all the time on video games. It's wrong, but it's still part of me, okay? I'm the one oppressed. The system has oppressed me into thinking that was appropriate when I was a kid, and now it's stuck in my vocabulary. Okay? So, like, yeah, kind of an honest response, I guess. Towards a friend or someone you trust is a word that's just common vocabulary for those of us growing up as pre-internet that has now been politicized into hibernation or policed into hibernation. Okay. Obviously, this word can be used in a demeaning homophobic way towards someone in an effort to belittle them for their sexuality. This is I condemn. But most of the people I've known in my life that have to use it casually do not care about your sexuality. Yeah, listen, I understand what he's saying. I disagree with half of what he's saying. People do use it liberally, and when people use it, they're not usually thinking of gay people. And I understand that. That being said, like, you should be aware of the way that you're talking to people, because I have gay family members, and if I start going around using the F slur casually, that could make them uncomfortable and not want to exist around me, and that is enough for me to not want to use the word. But some gay people will call me that, and then we can have fun, So I just think it's worth not using the word in your private life to not make people uncomfortable. But, okay, I understand where he's coming from. I don't think he's just like the morally worst thing I've ever heard. I just like disagree with parts of it. Hey, thank you so much for the small gut, Kitty Cat MUA. Have a good day, Papa. Thank you so much. You too. I expect some people, especially younger generations, will not understand this at all, but will probably think I'm homophobic for even mentioning this, but it's just the truth. Now I expect everyone will come out into a frenzy trying to skewer Doug for being homophobic, when in reality, I'd wager he really has no ill will and his heart for gay people probably doesn't. His biggest mistake there is pretending like it never happened in private, because now he sounds like a liar, and there's nothing sadder than watching somebody fold like a lawn chair at the first sign of a mob pressure. Okay. I mean, that's true. That's kind of base. Listen, you should be... That's why I don't lie to you guys. You guys can think I'm stupid. You guys can think I'm dumb. You might think I have bad takes. I don't lie to you guys. That's why I don't sit here and go, I never use this word. I do. I try not to. I don't want to. And I mostly don't, but sometimes it slips out. Guys, I'm a fucking neurodivergent minor. It's not even my fault. But like, if something leaks, or rather, if somebody has a deep fake of me saying slurs from when I was 20, that's not me. That's deepfake, one. Number two, now you know I'm not a good person. I don't want to set unreasonably high expectations for myself. You know, I'd rather you guys go, oh, I'm uncomfortable around you because I feel like that's shitty. That's fine. I understood. I want you to know the real me. Than to sit here and try to make it seem like I'm this awesome, nice guy who's like never done anything wrong or offensive. Like, that's fucking ridiculous. You know, I'm a normal person that's made mistakes and I'm just trying to get better just like the rest of us. And that's it. So yeah, what is this?
Hey guys, I want to make this video because if I don't do this right now, the internet in 2023 is undefeated. And in a snap of a finger, if I go to sleep tonight, I'm going to have this on my mind all night. I'm not going to sleep well. I'm going to feel terrible. I'm not going to feel good in any way whatsoever.
I would have just said afterwards, I would be like, oops, I didn't mean that, guys. Sorry. That just slipped out, blah, blah, blah. And I would have explained it in the moment of the clip, and I would have just never addressed it after that. That's how I would have done it.
And I'm going to wake up tomorrow, and I'm just going to feel like shit. And I just know if I don't do this now, it's only going to be
What do I
worse
think
than
about Destiny using the R word? I don't like it. I don't like the R word. I think it, like in private, like whatever, but in public, I don't like it. And like the stream is a public thing. I don't like the use of the R word. I think it's just as bad as the F slur or the N word or any of these other slurs. People disagree with me, but like obviously I'm more connected to people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. My wife's a behavioral specialist, blah, blah, blah. And I talk to people. I know people. I've talked to them about their experience. It can be very upsetting. You know, you hear stories of, you know, people direct support professionals will especially tell you these stories, where they'll take people out usually to a mall and people will call them the R slur like under their breath, and it really upsets them. And it's like, why do I want to prioritize me feeling good about saying this word publicly over those people feeling uncomfortable? You know what I mean? Like, that's how I see it. I think it should be considered just as bad. I don't think that people do, because I think that people like subconsciously don't respect people with disabilities as much. I also think that there's a lot more people with like general disabilities like myself. I have ADHD, I have OCD, you know, I have Tourette's and all that bullshit. But it's not super visible in me. And there's a lot of people like myself going around saying, well, I have this, so I can say the R word, where it's like most people that are higher support needed, they're in a very different spot.
Super chatted $1.99. Recommend Peers interview with Bassem Youssef.
Thank you. I might watch that, but I think I'll watch this on one. Anyway, like I was saying, that's where I come from with that. Fuck, I forgot where I was. Oh, we should consider it as bad. Again, I was going on to people with higher support needed. That's where the targeting is really happening. That is really where the targeting is happening more. It's with people that are higher support needed, where they are getting targeted with this word. You know, historically, this word has been used to institutionalize people, to neglect them, introduce them to abuse, potentially sexually assault them. There's a lot of negative things that happen with people with disabilities, and they're not as visible because people don't care as much. People like will feel uncomfortable around people with disabilities, and I get it. I used to be very uncomfortable around people with disabilities until I met my wife, and then I realized, you know, that she had a disability. No, until I met my wife, and we started going to family events. we started going to family events. Or not, his families for the people that she supports. You know, we went to one somewhat recently. It was a barbecue. There was food. I'll show up anywhere if there's free food. There was free food. And so we showed up there for the free food, and it was cool. It was nice. I talked to some of the people. They're people. It sounds so stupid to say that because you're like, yeah, duh. But there's a difference between saying someone's a person versus truly understanding that somebody's a person. You know what I mean? And it's very humanizing to. It's like I feel like you'd have to go and meet somebody and talk to somebody, a conversation with somebody with Down syndrome. Have a conversation with somebody with a TBI. Have a conversation with people with like very high support needed autism, and you'll start to like really understand. You'll be like, oh shit. Like, I could have been this person. If my mom smoked cigarettes, you know, I'm just if my mom dropped me on my fucking head, I'd be here too. And it just, all jokes aside, it makes you appreciate them. There's a lot of struggles that these individuals go through. Some of them aren't allowed to have sex because they're deemed non-consenting. Some of them are allowed to have sex, but they're not allowed, that they can't have sex because the partner they choose is non-consenting. Some people can have sex, but their boyfriend or girlfriend or partner lives in a different house and they only get to see them once a month. Some of them may not be able to have sex because some of the people that support them might be too nervous about them doing it, despite the fact that they have in their plan that they are able to be consenting, still nervous and not want them to be able to have sex. There's a lot of different aspects there. They can't go out on their own without somebody to escort them. It's sad, man. It's sad. You know, they live in a house full of other people that they may not necessarily get along with. You could have somebody that's like very nonverbal, just sitting there, you know, doing their own thing on their iPad. Somebody else having a behavior in the kitchen. They start screaming, they start yelling. It could really bother you to the point where you just start sitting there and just start like you start engaging in like bad behavior, start smacking yourself and hitting yourself because you want it to stop, but you can't communicate yourself. I mean, we're talking about like a legitimate tough struggle that people are going through. And like, I just want to try to be a little bit more aware of it and a little bit more respectful to it. And I try not to use the R slur, especially publicly. That's my whole thing on that. That's where I come from with that. I think people should try to have a little bit more respect for people with disabilities, especially higher support needed individuals that aren't as visible to us. It's easy when you got the guy that just has ADHD say, I could say the R slur, I have a problem. Or like, I have autism. Like, yeah, there are different people with different functionality levels of autism. Some people are incredibly high functioning. They're like, I use the R slur, and that's cool. Like, do your thing. But that's not a monolith for the community, especially the people who are suffering and struggling the most with their disability, with their, that's the way that that's how I operate with it. Nobody's a monolith. That'd be the same thing as like the super conservative fucking gay guy saying like, yeah, I think that gay people shouldn't get married. It's like, what I mean? That's how I interpret it. So Destiny does have a weird justification for saying he hasn't found a better replacement word for it, like saying something like, or the N word as a white guy. Well, I feel like that can't be what he thinks. There's no way. That's silly. Though, let's be real. Saying slurs makes us feel powerful. That's it. I'm not gonna lie. When I used to play Dota and League, I was much better at Dota, but even Heroes of the Storm, you say those things, not necessarily to people, but out loud, because it makes you feel powerful, because you feel angry and frustrated, because it's always your team's fault, right? And so you just or it's the game's fault. And it makes you feel powerful. And when you say a word like, this is stupid, it doesn't have the same weight to it. Saying the word stupid is like John Goodman 2023, whereas you need the R slur. That's John Goodman 1990, That's all it is. It makes you feel strong. And that's the thing. Ultimately, you need to try to put your feelings aside of like, this makes me feel really good, and be like, I want to be more inclusive to people who this could hurt infinitely worse. And again, mostly talking about in a public setting. I try to do it privately as well. That's pretty much it. But I get it, right? Publicly, very important to me. I'm really trying. I'm an edgy 33-year-old. Like I've been who was groomed by online video games. So yeah, I think overall it's a good idea not to use that verbiage. Anyway, sorry, I got caught up into this. What did Nick is not green say as a response to that? Let's see. LMAO, this is really insane. Why would you ever post this? I'm sure this white dad would have the same energy for using the N-word. Come on, man, get a grip. I mean, I don't really care about that. That criticism is just like boring. It's not like anything. It's fine. Like, I don't care about that. All right. Well, yeah, cool. Good segment. I think we're done with this.